Hey guys, and welcome back. I'm continuing on with the 728 power supply, and I think I have found where my problem lies. So we're going to get back into that and try and finish this off and see if there's anything wrong with the board. Now, to be safe, I have pulled out my 728 machine, still in the box, in case I need it. The problem I was having is I was trying to work out whether the 728 had power on the minus 12 volt rail, because that was the one I was missing. So guys, grab yourselves a drink, a snack or two if you want them, and that comfy chair, because let's get on with it.
Stand by for action.
Well guys, we're back at the 728 power supply and video board. Now remember from the last video I had, I got to a point that I lost the minus 12 volts altogether. And I shorted these two pins and I still had nothing, or very much nothing, on the minus 12 volt pin. So I sat down and I went over the schematic and I talked to a few people, and we were still thinking it's got to be something to do with the circuit, because on the collector of the 9014 I should have the voltage coming across that'll then allow it to switch the power to go out on the minus 12 volt rail, and I was measuring at around about 0.6 volts is what I was getting. So, and that was before it went to the resistor that went to the base on the pt5 over here, the one that blew, and it's going from this transistor through this resistor to the base on here, and that turns it on. And what I was getting power into this transistor, but it was not switching out to here. And I thought, well, what was this this diode that was in the circuit, this biasing diode? And it was a Zener, but it was an HZ12B2. Now they're a bit of a weird fish. They're not like a normal Zener. They are a Zener that'll work from, I think it's 12.4 volts up to 13.2 volts, and that's their swing and their range. Now most of your Zeners, as you'll see when you use them, are standard voltages, like 10 volts, 11 volts, 12 volts, 13, 15, etc. You can get some in betweeners like 5.3 or 4 and things like that. But in the 12 and 13 volt range, that is what they are, 12 volts or 13 volts. Now I haven't found any information that tells me whether there's a variance in that or not. So I'm picking that maybe it's not, and maybe they are very, very precise. So I got a pile of Zener diodes in, as I shown you on the last video that I was doing on this power supply, and I tried a 13 volt Zener in the machine, and I powered it on, and when I tested it after I powered it on the minus rail, there's nothing. Now these two SW jumpers, they are the ones that are on the diagram here. These are the ones that go to the cartridge slot, so that when they short, that actually sets up the drop-in current to turn that T8, which is the 9014, on. So therefore the power will then go through to the base, which then turns on the TIP power transistor, which allows the minus 12 volts to flow out. But when I shorted it, I was only getting like minus 2 volts on there, and it's like some between -2 to -3 volts, and that's not going to cut it. I'm sorry, it's not -12. And with that, I then decided, well, it's got to be something else, and I replaced the T8 with another transistor, which is a compatible one, because I didn't have any of the 9014s, but I had the compatible, which was the 2SC1815. And I thought, well, I wonder if their turn-on voltage is different. So I had a look at the schematics, and they are a little bit different. But it still falls within the realms of where it should turn on. And I thought, well, that can't be it. So I've been scratching my head for a wee while, and I thought, while I put this on the back burner and have a think about what's going on and try and digest this power supply circuit, and also waiting for other people to get back to me, I decided to try replacing the 13 volt Zener with a 12. And I put a 12 volt Zener in here, and then, hey presto, now I have minus 11.98 volts when I short those 2 pins. And so I can do that and show you. So this is these 2 white jump wires at the end here, which are marked SW, both of them. They go to the switch on the cartridge slot, and this actually is this bottom part of the circuit, which then what it does is it grounds T12, which is over here, which then that drops the voltage down on here, which allows us to flow, and then the voltage comes through to a -12. So I'll just show you on here. So I'll unjumper it first. What I'll do is I'll turn the power supply on. I got the voltmeter here, and I'll just show you what I found without it being shorted. So if I come over here I'll just try and do this without causing myself any more problems. Oh, that's 5 volt. So as you can see that there, I don't know if you saw that, but I'm just trying to do it so I can see it too. And as you can see, that voltage is not very high. 0.6 odd volts. Now that's not going to drive anything. We're not going to get anything out of that. But then when a cartridge goes in and it shorts these 2 pins, then we get our minus 19.7, 19.8. So we get our minus voltage. So that's what that does. So that, I mean, this had me a little bit confused for a while until I worked it all out. This shows it going off the board. The schematic shows it as part of the circuit, but I worked it out. So and what they do is these machines only need the 5 volt rail to run. They use the -12 and the plus 12, sorry, for the cartridge and for the, I think it's the video or the audio on board. It needs one of them. But the minus is only for the cartridge slot, and that is only for when you get some older ROM cartridges that need the -12 volts. That's what it is there for. Other than that, it doesn't need it. So I think we got this working. It seems to be fine. I don't want it to run too long because I don't want those transistors to get too hot. Now I found some insulating washers for those, which I'm going to put on, and I'm going to put the heatsink back on it. Put some new paste on and stick that all back together. I'm a little bit worried about putting this onto the machine, just in case there's a fault with some of the transistors and that. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do, I'll use my bench power supply and I'll just pull 5 volts off that, and I'll feed the 5 volts into the machine. My bench power supply should be good for up to about 5 amps or so, and I don't think this pulls anywhere near that. I think this pulls probably a couple of amps. So I think that's what I'm going to do. It's just that I don't want to put this on and find it shorts it out and blows everything again. I've got to go through and repair it all again. These are not nice boards to work on. The way they're made, this is the brown boards. people sort of think, oh yeah, they're fiberglass. They are not fiberglass. This is a compressed paper. The problem being is that when they made these back in the day, the copper tracks didn't stick very well to them, and they were terrible. You heat them up once, you might get away with it. You heat it up twice and you lose it, or you break a pad, or it deglues, and playing around with this for a few bits, and I'll turn it over, guys. You want to see some of the bodging I'm having to do to get this sorted is, yeah, it's not nice. I'm thinking about whether I should sit down and redo the board up, because I'm pretty sure it's under the 100 by 100, which I think it is. So if we have a look, oh no, it's over actually. But if we, yeah, 130. It's about 130 by 135. Yeah. So I mean, they're not going to be the cheap boards, but hey, if you've got one of these, it's a pain in the neck. The thing is you could easily desolder everything and then put it all on a new board. What I'm thinking of doing is, because this has the mod for this transistor and they've bodged it underneath anyway, at least it will make it and put a proper transistor there. I'm going to try and keep everything in its same layout. And yeah, it just means that you can just resolder the whole board. I'm going to think about it and see if it's worth doing or not. A lot of people would probably say not, but as you can see underneath here, there is a lot of bodges there. I'll just zoom in a wee bit on that. As you can see, there's a lot of bodge wires on there. Alright, there. That's a resistor they put on there. That's the wire. I replaced their wire. That was their wire they put on there. I just didn't like the wire itself that they'd used. So I've had to do this one and this one and this one. And that's for things breaking. Then there was down the end here, I had to redo that because the tracks had gone or broke away where these transistors. And I mean, the way these sit on here with the way they pull on these pads, yeah, it's not great. The boards themselves are not a very nice board on the power supply ones and video boards. So I just thought I'd show you that, guys. So I'll just zoom back out again and bring you back into focus. Yep. And so yeah, so that's what I've done. So I just thought I'd show you that. And this is just running off a standard. The 728 uses the same power supply as the Spectra Video 318, 328. And this is a 318 one. You can tell because of the steel, the way the steel cases are. And they generally have for a 601 written on them, which was the expander for the Spectra videos, the early 318s and the early 328s before they went to the Mark II expanders. So anyway, guys, this is all done. As I said, what I will do is, I think, as I was saying, I'll just power it up off the bench power supply, and we'll see how we go. And that was the 13 volt Zener that I used, that I took out, and I've replaced it with the 12 volt, and as you saw, it works fine. So I will pop this one back into my stock, put it back in my drawer, and move this out of the way, and I'll get the main board up here and we'll have a look at it and see how it goes. Okay, back shortly. Right guys, here we go. So I've got me insulators. I couldn't find my mica ones which would be period correct, but these are some modern versions. There's two different sizes, one slightly bigger than the other. The other thing I was going to tell you is that this is the HZ diode that was in the machine, and I removed it because when I put it in the component tester, it would come up with 0 MV on it, which it had 0 millivolts in the breakdown on it. And I thought, well, that's not right. They should actually come up with something. So I pulled out a 12 volt and a 13 volt, and they did. They had slightly different voltages. breakdown voltages on them. And I thought, well, okay, so that's why I changed the Zener diode, just in case you were wondering. It's because, yeah, this was actually dead and there was nothing working on it, so that it wasn't allowing a voltage through. So that was why it got replaced. But anyway, I'm going to go along now and I'm going to put this heatsink back onto these transistors. Then we'll move this out the way. I'll move that out the way and we will have a look at this motherboard and we'll see if we can get it to fire up. Alrighty, well, at least try and get some signs of life. I'll probably put the power in, drop it back from 5 volts a little bit and just see if anything gets hot. So that's going to be my main thing. I want to just make sure nothing got cooked. We might be lucky in that it was the 12 volt side that he changed the transistors in, and that may have been what caused the issue. The other thing is putting those in, it may not have got the voltages through anyway. The way they're wired up are different. The regulators are different to the transistor, so it may not have gotten in there and done any damage. We're hoping. Alright guys, so I will get on and mount these and then we'll go from there. Alrighty. Right, so here's the machine and let's take it out. So this is the one, remember we did the cable and the other cables on the main board, so that the keyboard is now detachable. So this is the main board. I'll just take it out of the case and we'll find something to sit that on. Right. So now voltages are coming in on here. So I'm just thinking maybe we'll tag a couple of wires on and we can do that and then pull the voltages out of the bench power supply, I think. Tag a couple of... we actually, yeah, we might be able to pop them out of there. And, I might... yeah, I'm just wondering which would be easiest. Do we just tag a couple of wires on, or should we just tag these on maybe onto the back here? Just solder one on here and one on there, so one on ground and one on 5. That might be a way to go. This did have another set of clips on it, and yeah, they've broken off over time. A lot of the stuff from China is not that great a quality when it's made. It's the wires are very hard, and of course where they solder them and put them on the clips and things like that, they break and come away. So we'll just solder those up, and I'll just stick them onto the 5 volt. We just put them onto the 5 and the ground on here, I think, and that should be us. Should be pretty good. Just clean the soldering iron. Solder on that. Put a dab on here. Well, actually no. I solder them from underneath actually. There we go. There's that. Minus 12.5. We have 5 volts. Now. That's our 12 and that's our ground. Just there. Okay. Okay, so put those on there. Nothing shorting. Looks all good. Right. So now, with our 5 volts, we should be able to. Not there's going to be anything that's going to kick the power supply out, and we'll lose anything that was to do with the power supply. So what I might do is I might sort out the camera so you guys can watch what's going on with the power supply if you need to. Alright, but I'll just grab the tripod for that other one, set it up. Okay, I'll be back in a sec. Okay guys, so I'll just turn the camera on for you. And so there we go, you can see the bench power supply there. And so I've got it set to about 4.6 volts, so we'll see what happens. Automatically, yeah, it's shutting down, so there's definitely a short on there. So I'll try upping the voltage a fraction. Yeah, we're getting straight to 2.6 volts and then it's dying. Yeah, so at 5.1. Yep, straight away that's I mean, I'm not even feeling anything getting hot. Yeah, that's just flicking on and off. So that is not getting us what we need. So there is definitely something wrong with the 5 volt rail. That goes from there. So it looks like I'm going to have to try and track down where this has gone wrong. Hopefully it's not every chip on the board that's going to have to come out. Because that's going to be rather a large job to do that. I'll pop the ROM out. I'll just pop out the ones that can come out at the moment, just to make sure it's not one of those that may have gone. But I'm picking it's probably not. Take the ROM out. I'll drop that out and try it. I'm not sure if the video chip needs 12 volts as well, so that could be part of the problem. I'll try it again. And it's dropping out straight away. Pop out the video processor. Yeah, no, straight away. No, it's definitely got an issue. And because it should power on and the relay should click. But if that's not working, then it's going to be something else going on with this. So I'm going to have to go around it and try and find out. So I'm sorry guys, but this is going to take a bit of work and a bit of time. I will run through this methodically and look at them. And as I was saying with the two different boards, see this one's green. This is the fiberglass board. These are the good boards. That brown one, as I said, is the early type of compressed paper. They're not very nice. These you can, so long as you're gentle with them, you can desolder and solder quite a few times. What I might do is check the transistors, diodes, and that sort of stuff first to make sure none of those are gone. As with the other one, it could be that issue. Then I'll start going down the track of checking each of these. I do have a component tester that I can put a lot of these TTLs in and check them out. The only ones I can't check out on my checker is the CPU, the sound, the I/O controller, and a couple. I think the might be able to do the memory. I can't remember, but I just got to go through and check all those. Most of the TTLs I should have floating around, so I can replace those if need be. But I will go through, and I think that's going to have to be the other thing. We'll be going through and desoldering these and taking them out on the power inside, because we may be lucky that it's gotten to 1, and then when the 5 volts has gone to it, it's chewed out, blown it, shorted it, and taken it off. And that might be as far as it's gone. So I need to check on the schematics to which is the first component with the 5 volts in line, and I think it'll be this one around here somewhere, and then find out where that goes to. So I think to see if it's a 5 volt issue would be to remove the device, then turn it on and see if it shuts down. If it doesn't shut down, then we know that's a device that's grounding everything, and go from there. Alright guys, so I will have a look at that and try and find out where this first device goes to and where we can go from there. Alright, I'll see you soon. Well guys, there you go. So we got the power supply up and running, and I've got all 3 voltages on it, the 5, the 12 and the minus 12. The only issue we have is the main board and where the problem lies on that. it is a dead short, as I saw with the power supply, and it's over voltaging and shutting down straight away. So where, I don't know. I have checked quite a few of the components on this so far. Most of the transistors, diodes, resistors and capacitors all seemed fine. I did replace one capacitor because it was only 16 volts and all the others were sitting in the 25 to 50. So I replaced it with a 25 volt one of the same value. So that was just more to be on the side of caution than anything else. So the only other thing I have now is to try and find out what device could be shorting this out. So I've got to go through and pull them out one by one and check them in the component analyzer and see where we go from there. I'm hoping it's not any of the main ICs and it's just a TTL somewhere, but this is going to take a bit of time to go through. So hopefully with the next video we come back, we can find out where the fault was, fix it and get this thing up and running again. Alright guys, until next time, as I say, have a great day, have a great week, until next time, ciao.